You know, since I can remember, all I ever wanted to do was play sports, in particular, play football. Uh, Man, since I was little, I just remember running up and down the street. I remember uh, playing football in the house by myself all the time. But I'd always been told that my purpose would be greater than just sports. And now that I'm getting older, now that I've experienced things in my life, I think I'm starting to understand that just a little bit better. I think I'm really starting to get to a point where I see that there's a lot of things that are in me that have a great purpose behind it. And you know, when you hear the stories of how you were growing up, it's almost unbelievable. I know some of y'all who got them parents that be telling stories, man. I think that they fabricate them a little bit, but I think they're good. And I think one way to share the story of how I'm pushing up or going higher is to hear from the ones who saw us from the very beginning. Hear from my parents. Let them give you a taste of what it truly means for me to be pushing upward and going higher.
Okay, first story that comes to mind is when we first moved to Dallas. You were terrified of blood. If you cut your finger, you'd squeal like a chicken. And you told me you wanted to play football, and I said, well, I'll think about it. So we started with baseball, and then we said, I said, I'll think about letting you play football. What I told that to your mom, I told it to you. I said, yeah, we'll try it. So we took you over to the Douglas Center. And well, not before that though. I told you, football's a bloody game. So if you squealing about blood now, you won't have a voice when it's all said and done. So we took you over on the east side of Plano, because Plano, the west side was still developing, and took you over there, and you worked out with some of the guys over from the Douglas Center, and then it kind of panned out. And then it kind of blossomed from that. I mean, that's where I think you kind of took root. That's why I would say the passion, that your love for the sport took root when you got a chance to interact with some of those guys over there.
Take a look at his journey from the time he was a little kid to where he is now. It's just an example of him pushing upward and going higher. I think back when he was just a small baby, and you always, as a mother, when you have your children, you have a vision for them, him or her. And the vision that I had for Jordan was, I just knew that he was going to do something great, something big. It's so funny, when we brought him home from the hospital, we dressed him up in a Kansas City football uniform as a little bitty boy. But then as he started to grow older, one of the things that stuck out with me was his feet. His feet were turning inward, and he had to wear corrective shoes for a long time. And you know, I thought, okay, that may inhibit his ability to walk, maybe inhibit his ability to run. But we went to a doctor that gave him the corrective shoes, and what they said is if your feet turn inward, that means you're fast. And his feet turned inward. So we watched him as he just developed as a child. He, being the only child at that point, he'd go outside and just play by himself, hit a ball, or he'd run back and forth through the grass in our yard. Or when we lived in the Northeast, it would be cold outside and he couldn't get outside, and he would gather blankets and pillows, put on a sports uniform, happened to be the Dallas Cowboys at the time, his helmet and his uniform, and he would tackle the pillows. Those were his team members. So he'd run, fall, and he would tackle. And then when you take a look at that, just those early years of that dedication, that vision that he had that he didn't even know he had at the time, and see where he's brought himself from small child playing by himself, to playing in high school, to playing in college, and overcoming adversity all along the way. it brings special meaning to pushing upward, going higher. That if you continue to push yourself and you have a vision of where you can go, then you can fulfill your dreams. So that's what pushing upward, going higher means to me.